Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. I finally decided to make a comeback to my YouTube channel because honestly I've been thinking about it a lot and I really miss making and posting videos, but I've just been in such a rut for the past month or so. It's like I kind of know why. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. It has something to do with how my stationery project has been going, and mostly to do with frustrations when it comes to communicating with the manufacturer that I'm going with. So before I get to that, I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of context of what's going on the screen, because I know it looks like I'm doing some crazy geometry or math or something, but so I was like trying to figure out how to make an oval shape, like a proper oval shape, and I didn't really know how to go about it, and I made like a quick search on Google, and I found this YouTube video that looked doable, and I was like, okay, I'll try this. But then it ended up being like way more convoluted than I expected it to be, but I don't know, I guess in the end it kind of worked out, so I don't know. But in case you were wondering, that's what I was doing. So in the future I would probably, since I made it jagged anyways, like it didn't even have to be like a very smooth oval for me. I could have easily just printed out like an oval shape and cut it out and just traced it or something. But yeah, anyway, so I'll just tell you a little bit about the process of this drawing. I think this was like one of the more popular ones that I did during Inktober. So this one is of my character Heijin, who I draw a lot of the time. Maybe some of you can recognize her. She's the one with the long black hair. And so I had a little thumbnail in my sketchbook that was, oh, you can actually see it on the screen, just off to the side, to the right. And I just liked the general composition of it, so I was trying really hard to preserve the feel. And before I went into this, actually before Inktober, I probably like talked about this in my previous video, or one of my previous videos. It's just been so long that I can't even remember at this point. But so I was having a little bit of a struggle with figuring out how to approach Inktober, because after talking to a couple of close friends that are also artists, they told me that there's something about my work in which I don't use a digital sketch as an underdrawing that feels a little bit different, so, and they like it better. And I kind of agree with that, even though it's hard to explain, because the digital undersketch process, like, in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, so one of my most common processes that I use for traditional art is sometimes I will draw the sketch digitally first, and I'll print it out, and then I'll just use a light box to trace it onto the paper. So that tends to be more safe, because obviously I can pretty much get the sketch easily to a point where I'm relatively happy with it digitally, and then once I print it out, everything's pretty much smooth sailing because I don't have to think about anything. Whereas when I do the regular approach of just straight up drawing or like sketching on the same piece of paper that I'm going to be inking and finishing the drawing on, it can get a little complicated. Like sometimes I will just want to keep erasing stuff. I don't know, I think one of the reasons why sometimes I prefer sketching digitally is because I naturally tend to want to press hard onto the pencil or pen or whatever I'm sketching with. So digitally, it obviously there's no paper, so it doesn't distress the paper when I do that. Obviously I can just like erase or do the step backward or whatever, undo without consequence to the surface. But when I do this on regular paper, especially like more delicate paper like watercolor, where sometimes if you erase too much you can like kind of mess with the integrity of the surface and lift a bunch of fibers and like just mess with the texture. It's just, I kind of hate doing that. Plus I'm really like, I really don't like eraser shavings and stuff like that. I'm like one of those people that have always been very turned off by messy type of art. So like oil painting is something that I'm like barely interested in at all, just because of the messy component of it. And I mean, I'm sure you can be neat with it, but I've just had like a bunch of experiences where in high school, when a bunch of people were painting in oils for an assignment or something, it was just like you walk into the room and no matter how careful you are, you will walk out with an oil stain on your clothes. But anyways, like a tangent. So back to the piece. So with this one, I wanted to kind of give myself a harsher starting point. So I decided to sketch with a marker so that I had no erasing options, which kind of mildly backfired because, as you can see, I ended up changing my mind on the placement of the hand that I drew the first time, and then when I went back in to kind of solidify certain parts of the drawing with the pencil, which I wasn't even planning to do, but I felt like the marker sketch kind of got out of hand and it was a little bit too messy, so I just wanted to clarify some parts of the sketch first before going in with inks. And I ended up drawing the hand in like a different place, like closer to the face, which is actually more true to the original thumbnail. I don't know why I drew it so low with the marker, but yeah, so this was kind of like a bit of an experimental piece. I do like how it turned out a lot, and I actually like the remnants of the marker sketch that you can kind of see at the end. I mean, you will see eventually. And yeah, this video is a little bit long because I wanted to show you guys the entirety of the process without skipping over much of it. I edited the video a little while ago, so I don't remember if I ended up skipping any footage, but I think most of it is in. I know it can get a little bit boring when I ink sometimes because it's just like so straightforward. It's just you're putting lines where the sketch is, and sometimes I skip over some of that process because it's super repetitive, but I at least wanted to include the entire sketching process so you can see like everything that I erase and the stuff that I end up drawing over and etc. And as you can see, I usually keep it like relatively loose with the hair and do most of the details on that after or during the inking phase of the drawing. So yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it at that in regards to the process of the drawing you're looking at, and I'm just gonna talk to you guys a little bit of what happened after Inktober and why I've been away for so long. So some of you may know I kind of recently launched a new shop. So I switched from Store Envy to Shopify. This was like, I don't know, I guess like 3 months ago, so it's really not that recent, but that's been actually really great. At some point I'm planning to do a follow-up video outlining in more detail like why I like it so much better than Store Envy and why I'm so glad that I made the switch. But so after I made the switch, a bunch of things kind of like coincided, but what I mean about that is I generally have I guess I still don't have any control. So I have no control over my freelance work, as in like when it comes and when it doesn't or whatever. Ugh, I'm like really tired this morning. I don't know. I'm gonna sound kind of incoherent, so I apologize about that. But so basically what I'm trying to say is that I've been working for mostly one company, doing character design work for like almost 2 years now, and even though I've been working for them pretty consistently for a long time, I'm still a freelancer, and I don't know when sometimes like their schedule is a little sporadic, so sometimes like they don't need anything and I don't know when those times are going to be. But anyways, it's been like pretty busy throughout the whole year, and then I think there was like a little gap at some point during the summer, and then right now has been like it's pretty much like done. I just get a feeling that they're done for the year with most of the work. And that's totally good, because the way that I've looked at freelance work over the past couple of years was that, like, I do enjoy doing it, but I feel like there's the personal payoff in terms of like the connection I feel to what I'm working on, etc., is pretty low when it comes to work like that, especially when it's for a Netflix show that I don't even know if they announced it yet. Like, I'm not gonna bother talking about that because I don't know if I'm still under NDA, probably. But anyways, it's for a Netflix show, and it's like, it's not really that similar to the kind of stuff that I draw on my own. And although I do find it's like kind of fashion heavy or fashion oriented when it comes to character design, so that aspect of it was a lot of fun. But as always with freelance work, and when there's a lot of people kind of calling the shots on where to go, there's people giving direction from all over the place. Oftentimes what you end up after the initial few passes of like the creative side of things, where you get to, kind of choose a direction yourself also, and contribute to the design and stuff, eventually it gets to a point where you're contributing very little. There are obviously always going to be remnants of what you came up with, but the end product is always very different from what you initially want. And I know there's different for everyone, but like for an artist like me, I generally like the first stages of when I'm working on something. So my process never really involves like reiterating on a thing and trying a million different versions before arriving at the final product, because usually I kind of approach character design from a rather basic point of view, but also I don't do too much experimentation, because I know like what I'm trying to get across. Like, I know the personality of the character and like their traits, their hobbies or whatever, so I can kind of incorporate that from the beginning, and thus I arrive at something that I like pretty quickly. Whereas when you work for a different project, when a lot of things are kind of on the go and things change all the time, in fact a lot of things change all the time. Like, you wouldn't even think, like, you'd think that there would be a point in a project where things like get locked in purposefully just to avoid like stirring the pot and continuously changing things around, because if you change one thing, oftentimes you'll have to change other things and other characters as well, because like the design starts stepping on other characters and like whatever, you know what I mean. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is, at the end of the day, you really have to adapt and maintain a sort of like a weak connection to your work, because if you connect with it too much, then it becomes irritating to deal with stuff like that, right? So if you kind of keep it at arm's length and just treat it as a job, which obviously it is, and have very little to no emotional connection to what you're doing, and just, treat it professionally and do your best, obviously, and do what's asked, then that's the easiest way of approaching it. But also, obviously, you lose something when you approach artwork like that, because for someone who's been drawing for fun, and for myself for a very long time, it's really important for me to retain a sense of personal connection. So sometimes when the freelance work, like when there's a lot of freelance work and it goes on for a long periods of time, and I'm forced to put my personal stuff like on the back burner, it gets a little bit difficult. But anyways, so back to what I was trying to say from the start, was that my initial plan was to go really hard at freelance work for as much as I can, and hopefully like the freelance work keeps coming or whatever, until I managed to pay off my student debt that I had, and which I did actually. And it's funny because it totally coincided with when the freelance started drying up, even though it was super steady for like at least a year and a half or something. So I think like I generally tend to think that when you have very clear goals in mind, you do get like quote unquote coincidences that are like, it's not really a coincidence. I think it's more like synchronicity. Like, I think I was just ready to start to move things into a more self-reliant direction after I paid off my student debt. And I think just because of that, like, whatever happens, the work just happened to, like, my services just happened to not be needed as much anymore. And it slowly kind of tapered off right after I paid off my student loan. And it's been pretty dead for the past, like, month and a half. So during that time, I really decided, because I've kind of been waiting, I've been preparing myself for an opportunity to take my independent stuff more seriously, because I do ideally really want to just develop my small business art shop side of things and eventually start working on my own comic series. So that's kind of what I've been gearing towards. And the first project I chose to take on was, like, I basically picked the type of product that I myself would love a lot, which is journaling related stuff, especially stickers. I just love that stuff, and I've always been, like, pretty obsessive about it ever since I was little. So I thought that would be a really fun project to take on. And it also features a bunch of my characters, which I'm currently writing about. So I'm just in the process of clarifying my rough overview draft of the comic, of the story that I'm working on. And I'm pretty much at a point where I'm about to start writing the actual script, so that's very exciting. And maybe it doesn't sound like I've made a lot of progress, but you'd be shocked at how much, how many documents with endless text I have gathered and actually planned out the story pretty well at this point. Like, it's relatively solid. Anyways, yeah, I'll talk about that some other time. But so, yeah, the reason why I started talking about all of this in the first place was to tell you guys where my rut has come from. So one of the difficulties that I've been dealing with was just adjusting to not having any external deadlines. So that's something that I became kind of accustomed to while I was working for this freelance character design thing. And I kind of got into a rhythm where I would essentially schedule everything around the deadlines that I got for these character design tasks. And I got used to it, and I was working pretty well for me, even though I was stressed out and frustrated a lot of the time. And I did kind of burn out because sometimes I just squeezed too much work in. But ever since that dried up, I've been having to schedule my own deadlines, and man, that's, like, so much harder for me than I thought it would be for some reason, because I really underestimated the motivation of a deadline, like a deadline that comes from the outside. Because even during times when I was super tired and I was just really not feeling it, I was always able to obviously take the deadline seriously enough, because my reputation is on the line, and people are depending on me, so I had to just get it done regardless of how I feel about it. And that became pretty normal, and I didn't realize how difficult it was to recreate that type of scenario for yourself. Like, I'm still really struggling with this, even when I feel like I really have to get something done and it's super important, and there are even other people waiting, like, for files or something. Like, when I'm trying to put together the files to order some sort of sample or, like, a proof of the product I'm trying to make, even when the manufacturer is waiting for my files, I still sometimes can't get my shit together to put it bluntly, to get it done in a timely manner. And so yeah, I still have to kind of really figure out how to deal with that, because at some point I ran into an even more annoying problem. So this rut that I have been in for the past few weeks essentially came about because I've been in communication with this one sticker factory in China for the past several months. Well, there was a big gap between it, but, like, so I actually posted the stuff on my YouTube channel as well. I talked about it at some point, where I was ordering a sticker pack as a proof ages ago, like several months ago, and I got it, and the quality was super nice. It was perfect, exactly what I was looking for, and I was super happy with it. And so obviously I was gonna go with this factory, but what happened was the freelance stuff really slammed down, and I just could not get enough time to put together to start on the stationery project. So I had to keep putting it off and off and off, and so that ended up going for several months until eventually, like I said, when the freelance finally organically dried up, I started working on it. And I mean, I really underestimated how long it would take to pull together enough artwork for a single pack anyways. Like, even that alone was I vastly underestimated. I don't know, I just like made a lot of wrong assumptions, I guess, going into it. And another problem that cropped up was that the person, this didn't even, like, I had a feeling that the person that I was talking to was somebody else, even though they were communicating to me through the same account, like username and everything, as the previous person that I spoke to, because I had no issues talking to the previous person. It was pretty swift communication. We didn't have any misunderstandings. It went pretty quickly, like with no hiccups or anything. But with this new person, it was kind of very difficult to communicate, and I kept referring back to the previous communication that we had, or so I assumed, and she didn't know what I was talking about. So I was like, okay, maybe this is actually a different person. And eventually it did come out that it was a different person. Like, she told me that okay, so long story short, I had a ton of trouble communicating with her, and after I managed to finally get together all my files to order a new pack, like a brand new design, which was the Traveler pack. I don't know if you guys have seen the stuff that I've been working on during Inktober, but all that artwork, including the one you're seeing here, is for the Traveler pack, sticker pack. So I got that together, and from the point that I had all the files ready to go, it took literally a freaking month or more for it to go into production because of constant miscommunicate. Just like anything that can possibly get misunderstood or go wrong went wrong during this conversation. I was at the end of my rope, because every time where I thought that, yes, this is it, we finally sorted everything out, it seems okay, and then like 24 hours later, because of the time zone difference too, there's always such a big gap between messages. Like, can never be online at the same time with this person. She will get back to me with some other ridiculous question that doesn't make any sense, and then by the time I answer it, she gets it again. It's been another 24 hours, so it's kind of been like that. And so just at some point, I actually thought that I was very close to giving up on this person, because I wasn't sure if we were ever gonna get to the production point. I was like flabbergasted at how long it was taking and how seemingly she didn't care to move things forward. And like, it was, oh man, it was so frustrating. And I actually tried looking for other manufacturers too, but I couldn't find anyone with anything similar. And all the quotes that I kept getting from the other places were like way more than I got from this place. So I don't know, whatever. Long story short, that put a huge that basically made me super unmotivated to work, because it was kind of a struggle already, because it was taking so long to pull together I just really underestimated how long it would take to put together the sticker pack, just from all the scanning and the editing, the cleanup, and etc. But yeah, I'm currently just trying to force the motivation back by just like being more diligent about actually getting work done, because usually that's how it works. Like, eventually, if I just keep working, the motivation will come back. But it's been kind of tough, because I just keep getting kind of paranoid about the fact that I'm putting so much time and effort into a project that's like has no guarantees whatsoever. I've never had a sticker pack like this in my shop before, and I don't even know how well it's gonna do. And at this point, like, the amount of time that it's taking me to produce each sticker pack is so long that I don't even know if it's like a good time investment. But I'm gonna hope for the best and keep like a positive outlook about it, because I am really excited about how the packs have been turning out. It's just that the frustration of not being able to see it as an actual product, even though it should be able to happen pretty quickly, given the fact that the files are all good to go. Yeah, that's been a little bit difficult to deal with. But I think that hopefully now I'm on a good track, and if everything goes smoothly, which I'm just endlessly paranoid about something going wrong behind the scenes. But I need to learn how to just calm down and be okay with the fact that even if something goes wrong, it's not the end of the world, and I'll just be able to, I don't know, order it again or whatever. Hopefully it'll work out. So yeah, that's the super long story of what I've kind of been dealing with lately. But yeah, like I said, lately I've been trying, the past like a week or so, I've been trying much harder to get back into it, and hopefully that will result in me getting some motivation back. And yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoyed looking at this process that I have put together for you. I really liked working on this piece. It's one of my favorite ones from the Inktober stuff that I've been working on. There's actually still one more snippet left where I decided to add some flower embellishments around the frame because I thought it was kind of missing something, and I'm glad I did that because I really like how it turned out with the flowers. So yeah, what else can I talk about? There's still like a few minutes left of this video. I have like a weird process that's different every time for editing videos because I'm not sure how to go about it. So for this particular one, I edited like a batch of 3 videos to an approximate length, just so I can show you the entirety of the process and not have to cut anything out. And they all ended up being around 30 minutes long or so. So I decided to just record the voiceover after the fact, and that's what I'm doing right now. And yeah, what else can I talk about? So yeah, aside from everything, on a positive note, aside from all the frustrations and stuff dealing with the factory, I have been working on some I had some sales in my shop, and I've been super happy with the fact that I can actually sustain myself with just the shop alone, and I don't feel so scared about not having freelance work anymore, because obviously, like I mentioned, that my goal is to move away from freelance stuff so that I can put all my effort toward my shop and my comic. And so that's been going really well thanks to you guys. I'm really happy. I'm so lucky to have your support, because I feel like every time I can't even believe that I'm actually able to be in a position where I can just draw the stuff that I like and make products out of it and somehow make a decent living. So that's super exciting. Thank you guys so much for buying stuff from my shop. In case you don't know what it is, it's cosmicspectrum.art, which is a hilarious domain name that I took because cosmicspectrum.com was taken, and they're trying to sell it for like super for a lot of money. I don't know why, but I unfortunately can't get my hands on that one, but cosmicspectrum.art will do for now. And yeah, that's where my shop is at. And yeah, I've just been working on the sticker stuff, and I did actually order a sample of a custom cover sketchbook, so I'm really excited about that, and hopefully I will get it sometime soon so I can show you guys. But it's coming along very slowly, but yeah, I'm really stoked for when it'll finally come together as a set of like stationery products and stuff. So I'd actually love to know what kind of things you guys would like to see in it, because so far I know that I've talked about the sticker packs a lot. It might be unclear what exactly they are, but it's essentially going to be a pack of 6 sheets with several stickers on each sheet, and they're going to be a mix of character art and objects, as you may have seen. And those are specifically for journaling, like specifically for bullet journaling, actually, because I have a bunch of bigger designs that I am planning to use as like a what's the word for it, the cover page, the cover page for like every month or whatever, like the title page. Yes, title page. So yeah, that's the main thing that I've been working on. And obviously, aside from that, like I mentioned, I want to do a bunch of different designs of custom covered sketchbooks. I'm actually really excited about that too, because I would love to use them myself. And I'm also thinking of including a dot grid paper option for at least one of the designs. I'm still thinking about that. And I do want to do other, like I want to include other things in the stationery themed collection. And I was thinking maybe washi tape, but I've ordered washi tape once, and it was from a group order a while ago, so I don't remember who I ordered it with, and I don't have the contact with the manufacturer. So if you guys have any suggestions on maybe like a washi tape manufacturer that you've worked with before that I could look into, that would be really great. And same about pins. I'm thinking of maybe doing some pins as well, but I've never actually made enamel pins before, so I don't really know where to start. I get really panicky when I look for a manufacturer because I'm not sure who to like message and what I can expect. So if any of you guys have had any experience with getting enamel pins made, I would love to get some advice if anyone has like a manufacturer that they want to recommend. So yeah, it feels really nice to finally come back to YouTube and record a video and tell you guys what I've been up to. And I'm really gonna try very hard to do that more often and not neglect it, because I always regret not posting on YouTube and just kind of going off the grid. But yeah, so like I said, hopefully I'll be back with a new video soon, and let me know about the enamel pin or the washi tape stuff, or also let me know if there's anything else that you want me to talk about or tell you about, because I would love to. Okay, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!